Hello everyone, this is Gautam from Shailaja IS. In this video, we'll be looking into the issue of the protests or the uprising that was happening in Iran in the beginning of year January 2026. Okay, people came on to the streets. What were they basically demanding? They were demanding overthrow of the existing government and establishing a new government. Okay, this has been the biggest uprising since 1979 revolution that occurred in Iran. We'll try and understand what are the factors which has led to this uprising and what can be the implications of the instability of Iran in other parts of the world. And finally, we'll understand what is going to be the impact on India. Right? But first and foremost, we'll have a brief, you can say, a background or context of Iran as a nation state itself. If you look at the geography of it, it's located in your Middle East, your western neighbor of India, next to your Pakistan, sharing border with your Iraq, and in the close proximity of your Strait of Hormuz. Okay, Strait of Hormuz is a very important passage where nearly 20 to 30% of your oil is being shipped across the world. Right? Now, Iran is a theocratic state. Now, what do you mean by theocratic state? Ours is a democratic state. Whoever are the political leaders, they are going to be elected by the people itself, and they are going to decide amongst themselves what is going to be the law, what are going to be the policies, what is the direction in which the country should take. Should we align with US, should we align with Russia? All these are going to be determined by the elected representatives in your democracy. The same thing is happening in India, same happens in your England, Germany, your USA and Canada and other parts, majority of the country, majority of the world, right? However, there are other type of states called as your theocratic state. In 1979, if we go back nearly 4 to 5 decades back in time, what was happening? A Shah was a ruler in Iran. He was closely aligned with your US and he started to you can say modernize the Iran society in a much more faster manner. And traditionally, Iran has been a conservative society or an orthodox society who are closely associated with their religion, traditions, and other parts, right? So when the ruler started leaning more and more towards your US, and when he started progressively changing the society, when he started westernizing the society, when he started bringing in policies that allowed for a greater, you can say, freedom for women, all these were resisted by your conservatives or orthodox sections of society. And eventually, since the economy was also not managed well, all these people came together, protested and overthrew the ruler itself. So the ruler of Iran actually flew back to the US. And as a result, the vacuum was there and the existing government was I can say occupied by the conservatives or orthodox sections of a society and declared themselves as Islamic Republic of Iran. So it was considered as a theocratic state. In theocratic states, there are a couple of things that you have to remember. Here, God is considered as the supreme ruler. Right? Second thing, the political leadership is with your religious persons or religious leaders. You also have a president, you also have a prime minister, president or ministers, parliament. All those mechanisms or institutions are there even in Iran. But on top of it is a supreme leader who is a religious person. He is the final authority with regard to the governance of Iran, both domestic as well as your external affairs. Okay, so a religious leader is the final authority in a theocratic state. And the laws are all governed. Another important factor of a theocratic state is laws are all based out of your religious text. So whatever is given in your religious text, based on its interpretations, your laws are going to be made in the country. In our case, for example, if suppose a Manusmriti gives about hierarchical structure of a society, we are not following Manusmriti in India. We are following our own constitution, which was written by your Constituent Assembly. And Constituent Assembly were elected by the people themselves, right? In case of your theocratic society, all the laws that are governing your, you can say, inheritance, your marriage laws, your divorce laws, your access to property, all these are governed through interpretation of your religious texts. And generally, these religious texts are discriminatory to women, are discriminatory to your minorities, right? So that is the, you can say, that is the basic understanding you need to know about the very nature of the government that is existing in Iran. I've told it in a very, you can say, crude or very basic form. Obviously, there are layers to the functioning of this theocratic state. We will not go deeper into that analysis. Basic understanding is enough. Supreme leader is a religious leader. All the laws are going to be based out of your religious texts, and generally it is considered as discriminatory to women and minorities who are living over there. Okay, and another important aspect, from 1979 revolution onwards, the existing regime over there, regime means whoever is the government, existing regime over there are against US influence in the region, right? And it is always in a direct or indirect conflict with your Israel. Okay, Israel and Palestine is the mother of all conflicts in the world. If that conflict is resolved, I think most of the problems that are existing in the world is going to be resolved. We will not go deeper into the conflict. Basically, it is about establishment of the state of Israel itself. Israel is a Jewish state, right, or Jewish country. And they formed this country in 1948 by displacing the existing population over there, who were Muslim population. And this was resisted by the entire neighborhood, who is considered as a Muslim neighborhood, right? Be it your Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Turkey, all are considered as, you can say, Muslim neighborhood. The existence or the very establishment of Israel was resisted by the entire neighborhood, and even till this day they are fighting against your Israel. So that basic geopolitical context you should be aware about. So the regime is against your US, the regime is in direct or indirect conflict with your Israel. Whoever are the groups which are fighting against US, maybe in Israel, maybe in Lebanon or in other parts of the country, some of the groups are being funded by your Iran. There will always be two factions in a country. One faction which is leaning towards US, another faction which will be leaning towards another power. It might be Russia, China, it might be Iran or Saudi Arabia and other things. Okay, so Iran is generally funding that group which is opposed to USA. Okay, so this geopolitical context is enough for you. Okay, as I already told you, we'll discuss about the factors of the unrest that is happening. Just to tell you the scale of unrest, it has been the largest since your 1979 revolution, and unofficial reports suggest that there was an heavy backlash by the authorities also. Authorities also did not sit quiet. They also used force in order to suppress all these revolts. And it is estimated that nearly 3,000 to 16,000 protesters have died due to the actions taken by the Iranian police authorities. Okay, so this is just a unofficial, I can say, reports. So that you can imagine the scale of the uprising that is happening in the country like this. Now, why it is happening? Why people are coming down to the streets? Why are they demanding that there has to be a change in regime? First and foremost factor is your economic factor. Now, this conservative regime was always backed by your traders or merchants or retailers or the business community. From 1979 onwards, the trading community has been the backbone of the support for the existing theocratic or religious regime in Iran. Now, their own survival is under stake, primarily because of fall of your Iranian currency. What is happening is that exchange rate, if you right now look at it, they have to pay 1.5 million Rials in order to purchase $1. In case of India, it is 90 rupees you have to pay in order to purchase $1. In Iran, they are paying almost 15 lakh Rials to purchase $1. That is, what does this indicate? It clearly indicates the Iranian currency has lost its value. People are not wanting to have this currency itself. As a result, most of them are wanting to have dollars. Since there is increased demand of dollars, the value of the Iranian currency is further deteriorating. Now you might ask, sir, what will happen if there is a currency depreciation? For example, I am having, earlier it was, let us just imagine it is 1 million Rials for 1 USD. Okay, so if a person who is staying in Iran wants to buy, you can say, a commodity like mobile phones, which is manufactured in China or India. For example, one mobile phone is costing around $1. Now earlier, what is the exchange rate? 1 million reals is equal to $1. So if a person was having 10 million reals, you would be exchanging that for $10, and since each mobile phone is $1, you will be getting 10 mobiles. Now just imagine, in a span of 1 month, you are having 10 million reals, but your exchange rate has dropped to such a manner that if you give all entire 10 million reals, you will be getting only $5. Because the exchange rate is going down in a drastic manner. Earlier you used to get $10, now you are getting only $5. So earlier you used to purchase 10 mobile phones, now you are going to purchase only 5 mobile phones. Earlier your profit was, for example, 10 units, now your profit is 5 units. And day by day, the value of currency is eroding in a much faster manner. Today it is 1.5 million reals for $1. Next week it will be 2 million reals for $1. Coming after 1 month, it will be 3.5 million reals for $1. So there is a drastic erosion of the value of reals itself. And as a result, trading community, their entire savings is now being lost. They are not able to carry out the trade activities. The profit margins has been eroded, and they are in a very, you can say, desperate situation. So all this trading community who were earlier a backbone of Iran regime, they are coming out into the streets saying that some measures has to be taken. This regime has failed us. This regime has not fulfilled its promises of protecting the economy itself. Right? So that is one of the important factors. You have to link your basic economic concepts to the political or social unrest which is happening in Iran. If you know the basics of this exchange rate, you will be in a better position to understand the underlying factor. Right? Next is your post-war humiliation which was faced by Iran in June 2025 when Israel directly attacked some of the key important sites of Iran. See, since 2023, October onwards, your Israel and Gaza has been in conflict. For 2 years, the war is going on, and eventually Israel started attacking the supporters of Gaza. And one of the important supporters of Gaza were your Iran. So Israel started bombing key sites, key military sites, key nuclear sites in Iran. And this 12-day war, it is famously termed as a 12-day war, that was, you can say, more or less in a very bad position for your Iran. Okay, so somehow Iran, whatever the regime that the face that it had, that we are a strong power, we will be able to resist US, we will be able to resist Israel. That image has now been weakened, primarily because during those 12 days of war, Israel attacked your key infrastructures and it was all destroyed. Right? So the confidence that it had on the regime, that it's a strong power which is going to defend against mighty powers like Israel and USA, that has now been eroded. And this has created some sort of an unsatisfaction amongst your citizens. Okay? And they are also saying that why are you unnecessarily fighting wars in Gaza? Why are you fighting wars in Lebanon, Yemen? Why are you supporting other opposing groups in other countries? Why are you doing that? You are spending billions of dollars in trying to support these groups by purchasing arms, ammunitions. Instead of that, you try to use the same funds for the welfare of the people. Provide us good education, provide us good hospitals, provide us good infrastructure domestically. So there is some sort of a resentment or anger amongst the people which are pointing towards Iran's support to opposing regimes or anti-Western regimes in other countries like Lebanon, Yemen, Iraq, Gaza and other places. Okay. Hezbollah and Hamas are the organizations which are working in your Lebanon and Gaza respectively. Hamas is in Gaza, Hezbollah is in Lebanon. Right? And another important factor is, despite being an energy-rich country, its own citizens are facing your power disruptions. So obviously there is going to be anger amongst the people. You say that you are good with oil resources, but you are not providing electricity to our own homes, our own educational institutions. Okay, so all this anger has been now built up, and it is coming out in the form of protest that is happening on the streets, where lakhs of people are coming together and demanding one simple thing, that we don't want this government, right? Another factor, or another push factor, external factor, has been your Trump factor. He has time and again saying that whoever is going to deal with Iran, they are going to face sanctions. They will be punished economically. They will not be allowed to trade with US. Such kind of threats has been time and occurring since the last 1 year. Primarily, intention is very clear, that US or Trump wants to destabilize Iranian economy, because he very clearly knows whenever economy is under shatters, whenever economy is not performing well, people will get angry. When people get angry, they are going to come down to the streets, ask for a regime change or a government change. They are going to overthrow the government. That provides a window of opportunity for US government to install a government which favors it, okay, which is aligned with your US interest. Okay, so this is not something which is new. US has engineered such type of revolts in other countries as well. Okay, whereby it tries to economically destabilize it using all its trade or multilateral institutions to its own advantage. It threatens other people also, that if you trade with Iran, I will not provide you investment. I will not allow your goods to enter into my market. So such kind of threats will be there, so that Iran's economy is going to be weakened. People are going to be angry. People are going to come down to the streets, and they are going to go for regime change, or you can say government change. Okay, so all these factors are contributing cumulatively with regard to people coming down and protesting against the regime. Now, what are the implications of this instability? So, if at all there is a political instability, obviously it is going to impact your energy flow that is happening in your Strait of Hormuz. Strait of Hormuz, as I already told you, it's one of the important critical world oil transits, you can say, area. Nearly 20 to 30% of the world oil is going to transit through this area, okay, either from here or from here. Okay, and Iran may try to control this strategic point. Right now, it is more or less under the control of your USA. USA is having its military bases in Indian Ocean region, whereby if it feels that the trade route is, you can say, being controlled by other powers, it is going to immediately send its submarines trying to take control of that region itself. So this Strait of Hormuz, or the trade route, can become a flashpoint between your Iran and your Western powers. Another important aspect or the implications is going to be your China. Now, because Iran is supplying much of its oil to China, and if the supply of oil itself is going to be disrupted because of all this instability, China will come under the pressure, and China will try to, you can say, try to find other sources of energy. It is going to create turbulence in your global oil market itself. Okay. Finally, there is also a question that whatever nuclear capabilities Iran is having, that might proliferate, or that might go into the hands of more extremist people who will not hesitate to use it in your traditional wars. So there is a nuclear proliferation risk. And finally, the entire region, whatever is the axis of resistance that Iran has built through its proxies in Lebanon, through its proxies in Iraq, through its proxies in Turkey or Palestine or Yemen, that entire axis is going to be collapsed. That provides greater instability, or that provides an opportunity for Western powers to intervene in the region, especially your USA or China or Russia, right? So these are the implications, political, regional, and economic implications of the instability in Iran. Now, what specific implication it has for India? First and foremost thing, what the port that India is constructing in Iran, called as Chabahar port, which it wants to use it as a passage to enter into Central Asia and your Western Europe. This construction or the operationalization of the port itself is going to be stalled, right? So India has to now start looking for plan B in order to strengthen its connectivity in Central Asia and Western Europe region. Second thing, India has to clearly maintain its non-interference principle. Because once you're trying to interfere in Middle Eastern politics, which is very complex, very layered, it will be difficult for India to walk back. So it is better that India maintain its neutrality and non-interference. And since Iran was also one of the big suppliers to India because of instability, because of US threats. It is no more going to continue to provide oil to the same extent. So India has to diversify its energy sources and look for other partners for its oil resources. Primarily, it is going to look for your Russia. So Russia will now be benefited because China and India are going to purchase more and more oil from Russia, right? And finally, India has to come up with the plans to evacuate diaspora who are living over there. In the entire West Asia region, there are approximately 70 lakh people who are staying in the region. So if at all situation gets worse, India has to be prepared with evacuation strategies to evacuate all the Indians who are living over there and return safely back to the India. Okay, so that is all about this topic. I hope you got a brief overview. For more details, you can download our monthly magazine so that everything, whatever I have told you, is given in your word format. Let us look into the question. Iran has traditionally been viewed as India's gateway to Central Asia, correct? And that's why it is trying to build your Chabahar port. In the light of the ongoing civil unrest and Proto-Revolution, critically evaluate the strategic viability of the Chabahar port and international north-south transport corridor. They're saying what are the threats to this particular connectivity projects. And they're asking, should India need to de-risk its connectivity strategy in the region? So should it come out with any other alternatives? Or should it replan its entire plan or strategy for the Central Asia region? So that has been the question. Try and attempt it, and you can send it to me on this email ID, or you can WhatsApp or Telegram to me on this number. Let's see. Thank you.